Welcome back to the Shrink Wrap Show. Today we're going to talk about attachment theory.
This is a very, very important topic. We see attachment issues come up a lot in the office, in the clinical setting, that problems in intimate relationships. And, what we know about that is that when someone has an insecure attachment or an attachment rupture in childhood, what they're missing, what went missing, ends up showing up in their adult relationships.
Right.
And they over expect, they have needs that cannot be fulfilled by any partner, any friend. And so we have a lot of hacks on this issue, but we want to talk to you first about, well, what is attachment theory? Absolutely. What does it mean to have secure or insecure attachment? And so we start by looking at the research of John Bowlby, who started a lot of this work based upon Lorenz's work prior to Bowlby on imprinting. And what Bowlby ended up learning, finding, and then other people like Mary Ainsworth continued to research this, was that there were 4 basic prerequisites for someone to have a secure attachment, and it needed to be with their primary caregiver.
Right.
And so let's talk about those four things. The first was a proximity maintenance. In other words, the caregiver needed to be close to, in the presence of the child. And we're talking about predominantly this 0 to 5 time frame of being an important interaction time between caregiver and child. So the second is a safe place, a safe haven, that this caregiver was safe. They weren't scary. They weren't judgmental or critical. They felt safe. And a secure base was the third component, that this person, again, was safe. They were able, the child could find them. So if the child walked away, went away, got hurt, just experimenting and learning and discovering what the limits are of gravity and those kinds of things, they would be able to find that caregiver when they returned. And they wouldn't be wondering, where is this person? And so that consistency of, when I look for the caregiver, I find them. And the last piece was distress tolerance, that the child would be able to tolerate the distress of being away from the caregiver, and then would be content to be reunited with the caregiver. If those 4 things were met, it would be said that the child would develop a secure attachment style. And again, we always want to give that caveat of the good enough parent. This is not about the perfect parent. We don't want to guilt anybody out there, because we're parents too. And we don't always do it right. It's the idea of, for the most part, those things happen. We miss cues. We get mad at kids when they didn't really do it. The other kid was the one that caused the problem. But it's just the good enough parent that, for the most part, they show up in this way, that they are in proximity, they're secure, they're safe, and there's a separation, distress that the child's able to recover from, and then reconnect with the parent. If these things happen, then in adult relationships and all the relationships moving forward, the child would have the ability to cope with separation from their intimate partner, from their friends, etc. And they would not over expect that person to repair or fix what went missing with the caregiver. And we know that, I don't know, T, talk to them about the Gary Chapman book.
So Gary Chapman wrote a book on the 5 love languages. And there's a not a personality test, but there's an assessment that you can do online that really shows you what love language you have. And based off of his research with attachment theory and the love language, it is really formulated on what children did not receive as a child, and what they didn't receive from their caregiver. So if you were a child and you didn't receive a lot of words of affirmation, then your love language as an adult would be words of affirmation.
Or
Not
quality time,
or
touch,
personal touch, or
acts of
service. Yeah. So those 5 love languages, not saying that like if you do have a secure attachment, you don't have any of those love languages. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Right.
But you're predominantly going to go to one specific type of love language
where there was a deficit.
Had a deficit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, our thought about this is, if you recognize in your relationships that you or your relationship partner seem to have sort of a push-pull strategy, like I really want to get close, but I don't know. I don't want to get hurt.
Right.
Or I want to get close, but what if they don't like me?
Yeah.
What if they reject me? That's going to be really painful. Or there's constant need for validation from either you or your partner. Again, it can be a friend as well, where there's just always this need for affirmation, this need for reassurance. If you notice those kinds of things, you may well be looking at, this is an insecure attachment. And this is going to be very disruptive and harmful in a relationship. Those are needs that we need to fill ourselves. If we missed that 0 to 5, which I did, there needs to be a recovery period or a repair. And this can happen with secure attachment or attachment repair. This can happen with a number of different people in your life. It's not ever going to be possible you can't go back and be 3 years old again. But you can get a secure attachment or attachment repair through a therapist, through a really good friend. Research says that you need kind of 3-year period of consistency to repair that. In a quality, intimate relationship, if you didn't get what you needed, but you've got a really solid relationship partner, that can also be a repair. And this may be a mixture, a combination of things that you bring together. So multiple relationships. There may be some reading that you do as well. The 5 love language repair place. We love the book Attachments by Sibsey and Clinton. This is a Christian-based book on attachment. There's a lot online. Most of it's good. And again, if our hack on attachment would be that if you're recognizing this in someone, refer them for therapy, refer them to look into some of this research, or to look into some of the information in one of these books.
Share with them the 3 insecure attachment styles. So we can identify.
So those. What we would end up seeing would be an anxious avoidant style, an anxious ambivalent style, or a disorganized style, which is sort of a mixture of those things together. So with the avoidant, it would be, I don't know.
I keep myself
I keep myself at a distance.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want you to know the innermost parts of me, because you might hurt me. The avoidant style would be, the ambivalent style would be, I want it, I don't. That more of that push pull. And you would read that as a person in relationship with that person as, I'm so confused. What does this person want? They send me mixed signals. So again, if you're listening to this and you give out these kinds of mixed signals, you might want to look at your own attachment and get some attachment repair, so that in your relationships you can show up solid, not over expecting something that someone can't give you. And vice versa, if it's the person you're in relationship with, you might gently bring it to their attention. I was listening to this podcast, I was reading this book, I was looking online, and I'm wondering if, and again, we want to just always approach these kinds of things gently. But in the research, too, that we look at for addiction, and it is my belief that the attachment lens is what we need to look through when we're looking at addictions, because I believe that all addictions are an effort at getting needs met that went unmet, and practicing self-care in an unhealthy way. So we want to do it in a healthy way.
For sure. One more thing to talk about when it comes to attachment style is how do we connect with our children to also make sure that they have an
Good
attachment, a
point.
healthy attachment style. And one of my favorite mentors to look up to, Dr. Karen Purvis, with trust-based relational intervention. She's got some really wonderful books and material on what it looks like to be a connected parent and to be a connected child relationship. So those are really good resources. Parent-child interaction therapy. That's a intervention that some therapists are trained in. I'm trained in parent-child interaction therapy, and the biggest thing about any type of therapy with teaching parents and children to connect again is that you have to have a healthy way of connecting first before you can correct the child. So it's really imperative to build those connection pieces with your children.
What is it? Empower, connect, and then correct.
Yeah. So
it doesn't really work well the other way around. We want to empower kids so that they have some tools that they can use to regulate themselves. And then we want to make sure we're connected with them because that's the leverage we need to be able to correct from. When you rush in and correct and you don't have that secure attachment, it can be really icky.
Yes. Yeah. So like if you can take some time out of your day, whether it's at bath time or
reading time, dinner time,
bed,
the lost art of meal time.
Yes. Yeah.
We want to bring that
together at the dinner table, or just 5 minutes of playing, like actively playing with your child, giving them labeled praises, saying, great job putting the Lego on top of the other Lego, like giving them really healthy praises so that they know that they're seen and heard and loved is
so good.
Really important.
So good. Yeah. And we have some other materials that we can provide, and we can do another podcast at a later date on trust-based relational intervention and some of these other kinds of skills. But for now, here's where we are with attachment.
Yep.
We're attached to you. We're securely attached to you out there.
So stay connected, guys.
Stay connected. Connection, the greatest human need.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.